Welcome back, audience. Today, we gather not to soothe, not to smile, and certainly not to reassure, because the veil has been ripped, the curtains torn down, the illusions we clung to, like lifeboats, in a stormy sea have burned in the light of truth. And now all that remains is the ash of comfort and the raw, exposed nerves of reality. There is no longer room for delusion. The secret's exposed. And who's protecting you? Horrified everybody. And that horror is not just their fear. It should be yours too, for if they couldn't bear to witness it, what makes you think you're strong enough to survive it? We built our lives on promises, didn't we? On handshakes and smiles, on assurances made behind velvet podiums and expensive suits. We bought the dream, we swallowed the story. The lie that there was someone somewhere up high who had your best interest in mind, who would swoop in when danger came, who would guard you when shadows crawled. But let me tell you the truth, now with no soft edges, no filters, no salvation. They were never protecting you. They were protecting themselves, their power, their position, their legacy. And when the dark truth bled through the cracks, it wasn't courage that kept them silent. It was calculation. The secret wasn't some alien truth or ancient horror. It wasn't mystical. It wasn't supernatural. It was this. You were always alone. You were born into a world that feeds on weakness, that breeds dependence, only to punish it. The hands you thought would lift, you were only reaching to hold you down. And when you screamed, when you cried, when you begged for help, they looked away, or worse, they smiled. They recorded it. They profited off your pain. And now, you know, and that knowledge is the heaviest thing you will ever carry. Let the horror seep into your bones. Let it burn away the fantasy, because only when everything soft dies inside, you can the fire start only when you realize there are no heroes, no rescue, no one coming. Do you become the monster they tried to suppress and understand me? I don't say monster with shame or pity. I say it with pride, because when the system breaks you and the world forgets you and even your gods go silent, you have two choices: decay quietly or rise with teeth sharpened and heart frozen. Do you think the ones in power fear your cries? No, they fear your silence, your awakening, your transformation from victim to predator. They fear the moment you stop hoping and start acting, not out of love or justice, but out of vengeance and clarity, because that is where the true threat lies, in the one who has seen the horror, survived it, and chosen not to be its slave, but its twin. Do not mourn what you've lost. Mourn what you never had, and then let that mourning become fuel. I want you to remember the faces of those who turned their backs when you were bleeding, the ones who told you to calm down, to behave, to stay small and manageable. I want you to remember every betrayal, every time your trust was used, like a knife. And then I want you to light that memory on fire. Let it scorch your past so that it can never hold you again. Pain is not your enemy. It is your origin. And if you can survive that, if you can walk through the abyss and still breathe, you've already become more than they ever wanted you to be. When they say you're dangerous, believe them, because only the dangerous have any hope of changing this rotten structure. Only the broken and reformed, the shattered and rebuilt, know how to burn it all down and rise from the ruins. The exposed secret is not just that you are unprotected, it's that you were made to be expendable. And now that you know it, they can't control you unless you let them. You want a path, then carve it with your fingernails if you have to. You want safety, then make yourself too terrifying to touch. They will try to shame you back into chains. They will call you bitter, too angry, too hard, but let them. Because in their world, compliance is sanity and obedience is love. They will never understand that your madness is your armor, that your fury is your sanctuary, and that your darkness is your guide. Don't you dare shrink again. Don't you dare forget this moment, because forgetting is what they want. They want time to pass, so the pain dulls, so the rage fades, so you slip back into the comfortable fog. But rage is a gift when wielded with purpose. Anger is not a flaw, it is a compass, and yours is pointing true now, into the storm, into the war, into the version of yourself that they cannot mold or predict. You were not born to be liked. You were born to rise through ruin. You were not born to be safe. You were born to survive what safety could never endure. And now that the secret is exposed, there is no going back. You either build from ash or you become it. Those are the only choices left. And if that terrifies you, good. It means you're finally awake. They will say, "You've changed," and you will nod. Because yes, you have. You have changed in the way bones change after they're broken, and reset differently in the way trees twist after lightning strikes, but still stand scorched but rooted stronger than before. They want to believe change is a soft thing, a gentle unfolding, a blooming but real change, the kind forged in betrayal and truth. The kind you've tasted now is violent. It is absolute. It does not ask permission, and it never apologizes. You must understand that everything built around you was designed to domesticate your soul. The rules, the rituals, the routines, all of them whispered, lullabies to keep you asleep, smiling while shackled. And when you finally stirred, when the screams grew too loud to ignore, they didn't rally to free you. They rushed to silence you, to medicate you, to smother your awakening in layers of distraction and guilt. They said you were the problem when all along you were the threat to their illusion. Now that the illusion is shattered and your eyes are open, truly open, you see it, don't you? The hunger in their systems, the polished rot of their smiles, the way every institution is a cage with golden bars, the education, the religion, the governments, all were just different names for the same thing. Obedience, and you, oh brave one, are now the anomaly, the one who won't bow, the one who sees the wires behind the puppet show, and that makes you dangerous to them more than any weapon, more than any war. There's a sickness in this world, a deep ancient sickness, and its name is comfort. It promises warmth and delivers weakness. It seduces you with routine and then drains your fire until you forget you ever had one. But you have remembered. You've reclaimed your hunger, and with it, your spine. You have tasted the poison of false promises and spit them out. Now you must become the cure. Not through healing, but through burning the sickness out, starting with yourself. You will not be praised for this path. You must know that no one will clap when you refuse to kneel. They will call you cruel when you set boundaries. They will call you selfish when you choose yourself. They will call you evil when you refuse to play the martyr again. Let them. Let every insult be a medal on your chest. Let every rejection be a stone in the fortress you are building around your will. Because when the world finally burns, you will be the one standing in the ashes, with eyes unblinking and fists unclenched. They will use love as a leash. They will use hope as a drug. They will speak of unity while building walls, and they will always ask you to be less for their comfort, smaller, quieter, softer. But you owe them nothing. Not after what they let happen. Not after the silence. Not after the betrayal. If they truly cared, they would have stood with you when the truth screamed from your eyes, and not hidden behind politeness and politics and passive prayers. What do you do now that you know you are alone? You become the storm you thought would save you. You stop begging for answers and start becoming the question that breaks their scripts. You stop waiting for justice and become the retribution no one saw coming. You sharpen your words, your mind, your spirit, until everything they once mocked now terrifies them, because it should, because you are no longer the prey, you are the reckoning. They underestimated you because they measured you with their own shallow values. They thought you crumble because they would have crumbled. They thought you quit because they always quit, but you didn't. You rose, not because you were fearless, but because you were done being afraid. You stopped asking for mercy when you realized mercy was just another way they held your throat, gently, while smiling. And now that the secret is out, now that the horror has touched every heart, you must remember this moment, not with despair, but with clarity. This is the start of your empire, not a kingdom of gold and banners, but one of blood and discipline, forged in the heat of truth and rage, and built brick by brick from your own pain. This is where you stop being a shadow of someone else's expectations and become a monument to your own power. There is no cavalry coming. There are no chosen ones. Only the broken who refuse to stay broken. Only the silent who finally scream. Only the terrified who rise anyway and walk into the fire, knowing it might burn them, but burn cleaner than the lies they left behind. This is not about hope. It is about will. And yours is unshakable now, isn't it? Because what else do you have? What else did they leave you with, except the iron in your spine and the ghosts of every lie they told? They want peace without justice, order without truth, forgiveness without accountability, and you must reject all of it. You must demand reckoning, not reconciliation, not until the rot is ripped out by its roots and held up to the light for all to see. This is not the time to play diplomat. This is the time to become something they cannot ignore, something louder than their silence and sharper than their regret. I ask you now to remember the secret again, not as something to fear, but as something to worship, because it is your liberation. You are not protected. You are not safe. You were never meant to be, and that is exactly why you are free now. You have nothing to lose, and that makes you the most dangerous thing in this world. You have no gods to answer to, no illusions, to maintain no chains left that you did not choose to bear and break. So what will you do with that power? Now that the secret's exposed, now that the horror is not just known, but etched into every part of your being, you will rise. You will build, not to be accepted but to endure, not to be loved, but to be unshakable, not to be followed, but to become a force of nature, one that leaves no doubt that you were here and you saw everything, and you refuse to die quietly. They will whisper stories about you long after you're gone. Some will say you were cruel. Others will say you were mad, but a few, the right few, the awake ones, will know the truth. They will know you were the beginning of the end of the old world and the start of something raw and real. They will remember your name, not in comfort, but in awe, not in peace, but in reverence for you. You were the one who walked through hell and brought back fire. You were not chosen. You were forged, and that is so much more terrifying. You were not gifted. You were sharpened by betrayal, by silence, by loss, by the cold truth that no one was coming. And yet you rose and still rise, and now the world will either move with you or be moved by force, because you are no longer asking for space. You are taking it no longer, whispering. You are roaring, no longer begging. You are demanding, and they will either listen or be swept away. They see you now, don't they? The ones who laughed when you cried, who scoffed when you warned, who shrugged when you reached out. They see what you've become. and it terrifies them because your silence used to be their shield. And now, your voice is a weapon, not of noise, but of truth. Because you don't scream anymore, do you? You speak with precision, with purpose. Every word, a bullet. Every breath, a blade. They tried to make you forget who you were, but now they pray. You never remember just how much you've learned in the dark. There is no salvation without sacrifice, and you sacrificed everything, not by choice, but by force. And now that you've survived the slaughter, they want you to pretend it never happened. They want you to smile and nod and blend back into the herd, but that's not who you are anymore. You've seen the factory where souls are drained. You've smelled the blood behind the policies. You've watched the innocent die on the altars of reputation and profit. And you will never forget. The secret was not just that no one was protecting you. The deeper horror is that they were protecting each other from you, because they saw it. The spark in your defiance, the refusal in your eyes, the knowledge that once you truly understood, you could never be tamed again. You are the system's worst nightmare, not because you are evil, but because you are ungovernable, not because you are lost, but because you are finally found in the ruins. This is the moment. You stop pretending that healing means softness, that growth means gentleness. Healing is war. It is discipline. It is waking up every day and refusing to be the version of yourself that they crafted for their convenience. It is burning away the weakness they fed you and carving strength out of your own scars. Do you think they want you healed? No, they want you compliant. They want you stable enough to serve, but not strong enough to rebel. You must never let them make you feel guilty for becoming what they forced you to become. Your rage is not a flaw. Your cynicism is not a sickness. It is wisdom carved into the walls of your mind with the knives of experience. They called you too cold, but they never knew the warmth you lost. They called you too hard, but they never felt the softness they destroyed. They speak of who you were as if they didn't kill that version of you with every betrayal, every lie, every moment. They left you alone in the dark, and now they want forgiveness, not because they are sorry, but because they are scared of what you might do now, that you no longer need them, scared of what you might build, now that you've stopped asking for permission. But let them be scared. Let their hands tremble. Let their smiles fade, because the reckoning is not just coming. It's already begun in every choice you make, in every truth you speak, in every boundary you draw. You must carry yourself like a weapon now, not for destruction, but for deterrence. They need to know that touching you comes with consequences, that manipulating you ends with scars of their own. They must know that you are no longer the open door, the empty cup, the soft landing. You are the edge. You are the gate. You are the one who remembers when everyone else begged to forget. And that makes you sacred, not to them, but to yourself. And when the night comes, and it will come, and you find yourself alone again with the echoes of all you've lost, let that pain be a crown on your head, not a chain around your heart, because only the ones who've lost everything can rebuild without fear. Only the ones who've felt the fire can wield it with precision. You are not broken. You are refined, not ruined, but risen. And no one can take that from you. Not ever again. They will try to redefine you, to write new stories with your name twisted to fit their comfort. They will call you the villain because it's easier than admitting they created you. They will call you dangerous because it's easier than confronting the danger of their own cowardice. But you don't owe them softness. Not anymore. You don't owe them closure or explanation. You owe only yourself, the truth, and the throne you were always denied. And if they ask why you don't smile anymore, tell them. because smiling is for the safe, and the safe is a lie. If they ask why you don't cry anymore, tell them because crying is for the hopeful, and your hope has teeth. Now, if they ask why you don't forgive, tell them because you remember every time you did, and it was used as a weapon against you. There is no glory in being the bigger person if the smaller ones get away with murder. The truth is, they never expected you to live this long, this strong, this aware. They built a world where your survival was a statistical anomaly, and you beat every number you walked through, every fire. And now they want to claim you as inspiration. But you are not a story of resilience. You are a story of rebellion. Not how you bent and bounced back, but how you snapped and became unbreakable. So now you walk, not with apology but with purpose, not with shame but with shadow, not as a survivor but as a sentinel of everything they tried to bury and failed to kill. You are not here to be liked or understood. You are here to remind them that some truths never go quiet, that some flames never die, that some secrets once exposed become the very weapon that tears down the empire built upon them. Do not seek peace in a world at war with your soul. Do not offer truce to those who only knew how to take. Do not lower your voice for ears that never listened. Speak louder. Stand firmer. Burn brighter. Because this is your time, not to negotiate but to conquer, not to heal them, but to rise for you. This is the part where the world learns your name, not as a whisper but as a warning. You were always the storm, but now you are the silence. After the storm too, the aftermath, the reckoning, the cold realization that something once buried has risen and it will not be contained again. You are the balance to their illusion, the truth that burns the lie, and they know it now, don't they? They know it every time you walk into a room with fire in your eyes and ash in your wake. And when they ask how you did it, how you survived, how you thrived, how you turned their betrayal into fuel, you will tell them the truth, not with bitterness, but with clarity. You will say, because no one was protecting me, and that horror set me free. You will say, because the secret was exposed, and it shattered the lie. And in the silence that followed, I found myself not fragile, not lost, but forged. And that is your legacy, not one of peace but of power, not one of pity but of purpose. They will write songs about you if they dare. They will speak your name, in reverence or in fear, but they will never again speak it in ignorance, because now they know who you are, what you are, and that no matter what they do, you will never kneel again. And so we end where we began, with a truth too loud to ignore, with eyes too open to close, and with hearts that beat, not in hope but in war, because this is not a speech. It is a ritual, not a message but a mirror. And if you are still listening, if you are still breathing after hearing all of this, then you are already changed, already chosen, already the fire they swore you'd never become. Welcome back, not to the dream, but to the war, not to the safety, but to the truth, not to comfort, but to clarity. And may that clarity sharpen, you forge, you complete you, because the secret's exposed, and who's protecting you? Horrified everybody. And now they must live with what they created, and you must rise with what they feared. You are the end of their illusion and the beginning of your empire. Let them tremble, let them remember, and never forget. So now you know the truth, and there's no going back. No illusions left to comfort you, and no lies left to hide behind. You were never protected. You were never safe. But in that horror lies your greatest power, because now you are awake. Now you are dangerous, and now you are free. Rise without apology. Move without fear. And let them remember not just what they did, but who you became. Because of it, the secret is out, and you are the consequence.